Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the HP SPECTRE 16. This 2-in-1 has been on the market for roughly 1 month, both direct from HP and through Best Buy, but what I'm about to share with all of you hasn't been available. Two key differences on this review unit that just arrived that make it really exciting. Number one, this has the UHD Plus OLED display, and if you're not familiar, I believe it's the first of its kind on the market. 16 inches, 3840 by 2400 resolution. It is a 16 by 10 aspect ratio panel. Of course, touchscreen. After all, this is a Spectre. And then another key element, the discrete GPU. We've got an NVIDIA RTX 3050 with 4 gigs of RAM. It is a Max-Q variant. That all should amount, plus the internals that are the same as what's been on the market, to possibly the best Spectre ever made. So with that said, let's just run down those specifications. The pricing on this unit, I believe, is a little under $2,000 US. I expect that price to come down. We've got an Intel 11th Gen Core i7 11380H processor, 16 gigs of RAM. The RAM is soldered, so if you're looking for 32, you'll have to select that directly from HP as a pre-configured option. That'll set you back an additional $500. Don't worry, I expect that price to come down rapidly over time. In addition to that, we've got a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. Now, because it's the Optane drive, we've got to believe that's an Intel drive. Windows 11, of course. In addition to that, a 6-cell battery that HP claims is 17 hours of overall runtime, but that's not with the discrete option that we have right there. So we'll see what battery life is like. Of course, Wi-Fi 6 on board, a 5-megapixel IR camera for Windows Hello support. This all amounts to, in my opinion, probably the most exciting Spectre ever made. So really interested to see how this performs, and I think many of you are as well. You know, if you've already picked up the model that's been on the market, this is obviously a big performance jump in terms of having all of the things that I've mentioned, because, well, there's nothing quite like this on the market. So let's go ahead and get this out of the box. The first thing you see is that white packaging. And I'm curious as to what the power brick wattage is going to be as well, because, you know, it was, I believe, a 90-watt brick on the standard option without the discrete GPU. So first things first, we've got a sleeve, as noted on the packaging right there. And, you know, this is not something new with HP. They've been doing this with the Spectre lineup for quite some time. But this is a unique launch because it's the first time since the Spectre 14 that we're seeing essentially a brand new edition and I won't call it a redesign, but new design language altogether. So there is that sleeve, which, you know, I think it's nice that HP includes it. They certainly don't need to. It just speaks to the fact that they're trying to really give you just about everything you possibly could need out of the box. And remember, this comes with a stylus. You know, a lot of 2-in-1s do, some don't. This one historically has been one of my favorites, meaning the Spectre lineup, for quite some time. So let's go ahead and break open this box, and there you have it. Now, again, another thing you'll notice with this is that the color, this is not the blue color that we've been seeing from HP and, well, I should say Best Buy standard, and there's a reason, and we'll get to that shortly. I'm also going to show you elements of the redesign that I think are noteworthy, but let's see what else is in the box, specifically our power brick and our pen. And the pen is rechargeable via Type-C, for those of you that are wondering. We've got some paperwork here, which I'm not surprised to see, of course. And then last but not least, the balance of the brick. And the power brick, for those of you wondering, is a 135-watt brick. So that's the bump up in power. That's kind of what I expected, considering this is not, you know, a GPU that's a power-hungry monster, but this should fare favorably when you compare it to things like, you know, Microsoft's Surface Studio laptop, something I reviewed a while back, which I had pretty mixed feelings about. This seems like it's going to be up my alley because it has pretty much everything you could want. Whether you're just looking for something that can do a little bit of everything, or if you're a content creator, whatever the purpose is with this machine, it's got it covered. And the first thing I'll tell you is I like, the Nightfall color here looks good. In terms of I/O, let's take a quick look around this machine. So we've got a micro SD card slot, something that I'm glad has not gone away. We have a Thunderbolt 4 port. We have the power pin connector, the barrel right there for charging, and then another Thunderbolt 4 port right there on the edge. And you may have noticed this is part of the redesign. The gem cut look is it's not gone. We still have that gem cut, but it's been rounded, and I think it's a good move. I think that this is a really nice looking machine, and I don't think anything is lost here in terms of the redesign. HDMI out, and then we have a Type A port that is, of course, got that little drop down. And other than that, your headphone microphone combo jack. So pretty understated. It doesn't look like anything crazy. 4.5 pounds roughly. And I'm expecting construction on everything to be pretty much the same from what I'm accustomed to, just a design difference. And first things first, they're telling us that the pen will magnetically attach to the side of the display, which I'm not shocked. And that's a good thing. We'll see if it's as secure as some of the previous generations. Some of the nibs there fell out, but I caught them. And as mentioned, this is charged via Type-C, for those of you that are wondering. Go ahead and remove this, and we'll see how this attaches. I do not think that there is any coverage of this machine yet on YouTube. So I'm going ahead and I'm putting this on the side of the panel, and there it attaches. Seems really secure based on what I'm seeing. No movement at all. Let's go ahead and remove this piece of paper and take a look at that keyboard, which, again, I'm expecting good stuff. We've got the B&O speakers, a little bit of wobble on the display, nothing too crazy, and a fairly large trackpad. The same style keys, solid travel. I expect the experience to be very similar to what I'm already accustomed to. I'll go ahead and bring that all the way up to the camera. And things look good here. We've got, of course, a kill switch for the webcam. Remember, that is a 5 megapixel shooter with IR for Windows Hello support. We have a fingerprint scanner right there. We have a dedicated key for the HP suite of software, which I think is definitely a good thing because I believe you're going to have their gaming suite as well as all of the traditional support assistant stuff for all of your drivers, updates, all of that good stuff. And of course, all the keys that most of you who follow my channel already know I appreciate, like the master mute for the microphone that does have an LED to let you know that it's muted. Let's go ahead and power this on. We'll see if it can be powered on. It looks like it is going to. It is a gloss display for anyone wondering with the OLED option. But remember, in the hierarchy of the three panels, the two IPS panels, the key difference being, I believe, just the reflective coating, this is the way to go because your color accuracy, vibrancy, contrast ratio, everything that OLED brings to the table is immense, in my opinion. And that's whether you're just using it as a laptop or you're using it to create content, color proofing, video, stills. So it's really a big difference. So now we're just wrapping up the first boot here into Windows 11. And overall, what I can tell you is that I'm really impressed with the brand new design employed here, the rounded edges all around, soft touch feel. It's just a nice machine. So a lot of the design cues you're already accustomed to seeing from the Spectre family of products, but again, really slim bezel on this brand new 16-inch panel, and of course the same keyboard that at least I already really enjoy using. For those of you unaware, I own and enjoy using my Spectre 13. It is a few generations old, but still just as competent as when I got it in terms of being a really portable and lightweight Ultrabook 2-in-1. And for anyone looking for a larger form factor out of a 2-in-1, I don't know how you're going to really beat this. I mean, I can't, in my mind right now, think of another machine that employs the same 16-inch 16 by 10 aspect ratio, OLED panel that is UHD plus, and then also has a discrete GPU option. In fact, when I look at the Surface Laptop Studio, it is an interesting machine, but I know that as long as nothing is wrong with this, meaning nothing I'm not expecting presents itself, then this is, in my opinion, a much better overall product just in terms of the parts it brings to the table and it being a traditional two-in-one. As much as, I think there are advantages to a new design and giving us a new way of looking at things, I already know what to expect with this two-in-one. Really, Windows 11, I think, is more of the learning curve for the majority of new users out there, and that's because a lot of them just haven't used it yet. And remember, the pen needs to be charged. In fact, out of the package right now, I do not think that it is. So they do include right there a little Type-C charging cable for the pen, and I will go ahead and get that charged up so that we can actually see what performance is like. I'll probably be giving you an update, all of you an update on this as quickly as I possibly can. But overall, the display looks excellent, and I'm just excited to start putting this machine through its paces and get down to business, see what the audio quality is like. But again, build quality seems really nice, as expected with the Spectre lineup, and I think the I/O is in check. The fact that we retain an HDMI out, I think, is critical because, many machines, of course, are eliminating them, but at a little under $2,000, I think this really is going to satisfy a lot of customers based at least on my early impressions of seeing what the build is like, the display quality is like. Now the next thing to do is just start putting it through some testing, see what gaming is like, content creation, and that's why I think this is going to be a really popular machine, is that it has a little bit of everything. I think the most interesting thing that we're going to see is what those fans end up sounding like when they've got to deal with keeping this rig cool with that 3050 in tow. Because remember, this is the same CPU that you'll find on the Spectre 16. Otherwise, it's really the GPU and display that have bumped this up to nearly $2,000 US before tax. And of course, I'll likely end up opening this up as well. Again, remember, the RAM is soldered here, 16 gigs of RAM. If you want 32, you got to go with the 32 gig model. So keep that in mind. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's a $500 plus premium for the 32 gigs, which I do not think is warranted. I think 16 gigs will be more than enough for the majority of users. I will likely also do an inking demo with this in time. Just excited to share it with all of you. Again, the first time I've seen a 16-inch, 16 by 10 aspect ratio OLED panel, especially with a UHD plus res, and then a 3050. This is a brand new addition to the Spectre family, and I think possibly the best Spectre ever made, especially if what you're looking for is more of a desktop replacement experience. Of course, this isn't going to give you desktop class performance, but in the Spectre lineup, it absolutely will. Best of both worlds here if you're looking for a two-in-one. And of course, don't forget the two-in-one element that very easily you go into content consumption mode. Also ideal for drawing on screen, although we do have a little bit of wobble, of course, here with the hinge. And the hinge does look like it's been, well, it's not a redesign, but a brand new design for the Spectre lineup at least. And then, of course, if you wanted to go into tent mode, I mean, whatever you're looking to do with the Spectre when it comes to two-in-one capability, it's going to deliver what the balance of the Spectre lineup has to offer. So it's really just a matter of how you want to use it. But any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe and please stay safe. Later.